Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I'm one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Overall, I've been doing good for the most part. I will say I had a little bit of like a sore throat earlier this week and that wasn't fun, but aside from that, I've been doing pretty okay, honestly. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. Earlier this week on Wednesday, I had to take a test for the master's program. Because I failed one. I had to take three. I passed two, failed one of them, and I think I passed it. I feel a bit more confident this time than before. So hopefully I did the bare minimum of passing. So I'm just kind of like relieved at the moment because now that's off my chest and hopefully things uh, go well. Um, so there's that, and then very early this week, all right, we hung out. We hung out with our friend Alex. We played ball. We went out to uh, grab a snack. It was a fun time. I hope we can do that again soon.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that for sure. We haven't really hung out as often as probably we would like, and we were finally able to do it, and we all had a great time. So we were definitely happy about that. We played some basketball, pickup games, and that was really fun. And then we went to grab a little snack afterwards, and that was fun also. So hopefully we will be able to do that more often.
Yeah, I just enjoy like everybody's presence that day, just the conversations we were having. It was a fun day. I will say after that day, my calves were so sore. I really need to do like more cardio or something. Work out a
Oh,
bit more on leg day because I don't know why it was killing me. It wasn't even like the day after. It was like Tuesday. It was like hitting me hard for some reason. I was like barely able to finish my workout that day. So it was kind of strange, but I guess that means I have to play ball a bit more.
yeah. Maybe that means we gotta do it more often.
I guess we do. I guess we do. But speaking of ball, this is a basketball podcast, so let's talk about some basketball. And we're kind of at like the final stretch here, so things are gonna start picking up a little bit. And that also means that it's very important that we check out the standings, okay? Because the standings are very important for the playoffs. There's a lot of different battles that we need to be looking at. So let's go over the standings now. I believe I did West Coast last week, right?
Yeah. I think it's my turn to do West Coast this week then.
All right. Do you want to
So,
do that right now?
yes, sir. So we start with the West Coast of Best Coast. At number 15, we got the Jazz at 16 and 55, eliminated from playoff contention. At number 14, we got Pelicans at 19 and 52, also eliminated from playoff contention. At number 13, we got the Spurs at 30 and 39. Number 12, we got the Blazers at 32 and 39. 11, Mavs 34 and 37. 10, Suns 34 and 37. 9, Kings 35 and 34. 8, Timberwolves 41 and 31. 7, Clippers 40 and 30. 6 Warriors 41 and 29. 5, Grizzlies 43 and 28. 4, Nuggets 44 and 27. 3, Lakers 43 and 26. 2, Rockets 46 and 25. And sitting atop of the Western Conference, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder at 58 and 12.
All right. And for the East Coast, the least coast, we got at 15 the Wizards, who have a 15 and 54 record. They are out of playoff contention. Surprisingly, the Hornets are still in like playoff contention, but it's not gonna happen. They're at 14 with an 18 and 52 record. 76ers at 13 with a 23 and 47 record. Nets with the very same record at 12. Raptors at 11 with a 24 and 46 record. Heat, they are in the play-in mix at the moment with a 29-41 record. Bulls are 9 with a 30-40 record. Magic are at 8 with a 33-38 record. Hawks at 7 with a 33-36 record. The Pistons are at 6 with a 39-32 record. They are currently in the top 6, so if they stay in that position, they could get a automatic playoff spot, and they are also currently clinched for a postseason spot at the moment. It sounds a little confusing, but yeah, the next 6 teams clinch a postseason spot, not a playoff spot, but a postseason spot. 5 is the Bucks with a 39-30 record. Pacers at 4 with a 40-29 record. Knicks at 3 with a 43-26 record. Celtics at 2 with a 51-19 record. And at number 1, the Cavaliers with the 56-14 record. And yeah, those are the standings. So I guess from here we can move on to the W list, and we'll start off with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who I think it was last week. We talked about how they clinched a playoff spot. This week they clinched the first seed. So even if they lose the rest of the games from here, they still will be the first seed in the West, which is kind of crazy. There's a huge gap between the second seed and the first seed right now. The Thunder are absolutely dominating, with Shea leading the way, scoring 30 with ease. I don't know the exact stat, but I read this earlier today where it said like this month, Shea had 30 points out of like 8 out of the 9 games he played this month, so that's pretty crazy. And yeah, since they clinched the first seed in the West, they are now the second youngest team to clinch the first seed. Do you know which team was the youngest team to clinch the first seed?
Which team was the youngest to clinch the first seed? Um, I almost want to say a different Thunder team from 2012, but I feel like maybe not it.
You're actually
Because I know
so
that team was
close.
really young. Because I know that team was the young KD, Harden, and Russ was really young back in the day. Um, let me think then. You say I was close. Um, hmm. So I'm guessing it must have been like kind of recent, right?
Very recent.
Okay, let me try to think of it. Um, wait, did the Thunder last year?
Yes, last year they were the youngest team ever to clinch the first seed. So now, since they're technically a year older, they're the second youngest this year.
True. That's
So
funny. Hey,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I almost I almost forgot that they were the first seed last year simply due to the disappointing second round playoff exit. But now I do remember they did have a really good season last year. Not quite as good as they're looking this year, so hopefully we'll see if they can get over the hump this year. But yeah, that is funny. So they own the record for youngest and second youngest. And the only
exactly.
reason why this team's the second youngest is because they were 1 year younger last year.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool honor to hold both the 1 and 2 spots
All
for
right.
youngest to clinch 1 seed.
That just shows how consistent they've been for the last few years. And yeah, speaking of consistent, they are in a 5 game win streak. Obviously, like, this is the team to beat if you want to make the finals this year in the West. But do you think any team has a chance? Or is it too early to say? Or or
Mm,
can we say that the Thunder is a lock to make the finals this year?
I would say kinda early to say. And it's like I think without a doubt, they're definitely the favored in the West, possibly the entire league, but at least in the West. But there will definitely be competitors. Who will be their biggest threat? Maybe healthy Lakers team with LeBron, Luca, Austin, and company. Maybe they can give them some trouble. Um, Honestly, aside from the Lakers, though, like I feel like the rest of the Western Conference should supposedly be an easy breeze for the Thunder. Granted, like we haven't seen the Lakers match up with the Thunder post trade deadline, so no one can really know for sure until we actually see them play. I believe we do have a back to back against them in April towards the end of the season. Um, I think both of those games are going to be at OKC though, so that's going to be tough for the Lakers, but we'll see what happens there. Um, so at the moment, I would say maybe Lakers give them some competition. I just don't know if the Lakers would beat them though. So I think that the Thunder is, I don't know about a 100% lock, but they're definitely a very likely to win the West and potentially the entire thing.
Yeah, I feel like for the Lakers, a lot has to go right for sure. For basically any team in the West, like a lot has to go right. That's why I think like OKC is the clear favorite because a lot has to go wrong in order for them to not make the finals. I believe, um, but yeah, like it's crazy how not only dominant they are, but how young they are as well. And I would be surprised if they don't make the finals this year, even though it would suck because I want my Lakers to make it. But we'll see. You know, the Lakers are still, you know, there's still kinks that they need to work out, but they'll be there soon. They will be there soon for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
should we move on to the
And
next team, or is there something else you wanted to
yeah,
say?
I just want to quickly add on. I feel you on the conflicting thoughts part regarding OKC because obviously, like, both like their team. Obviously, we'd rather see the Lakers win. I will say, if the Lakers don't win it, OKC would be my glad second team, backup team. I would like to see win it as like a second option. But of course, preferably Lakers. If the Lakers don't win it, I'll root for OKC to win it. Um, but yeah, I think we're good to move on to our next team on the W list, and that would be the Houston Rockets. Now they are on a 9-game win streak, and they are in the second seed in the Western Conference. So before they got in this win streak, they were on a pretty long losing streak. I think they lost like 4 or 5 games in a row. And since then, they just can't lose. And I don't remember all the teams that they beat. I know that they beat a few quality opponents and then some bad teams. And like they had a few come from behind wins. Like I know earlier this week against the Sixers, they were down by like 25 in the fourth quarter, came back, forced overtime, and then eventually pulled away. And then today they played in Miami. They were down by double digits in the third, and then they came back and won that one too. So, nonetheless, the Rockets have been playing some pretty good basketball lately, and they have moved back up to the second seed, currently with a 2-game lead over both the Lakers and the Nuggets. And things have been looking good for the Rockets right now. We'll see if they'll be able to maintain.
Yeah, it maintained during the regular season for sure. I think this is definitely something they will be able to do, because they kind of proved it this throughout this season, right? They've had long stretches of winning. There were some like down points, I guess, but for the most part, they've been surprisingly like really great this season. Will this lead to playoff success? I don't know. Like a lot of people are not super high on the Rockets at the moment. They don't really have a closer. Their team, I think that's like their biggest issue. I think Fred VanVleet, funny enough, had like a great game today. I think he scored like 37 points. So like he could be the closer sometimes, but like they don't have a real closer. I think that's why the Rockets are always in trade talks about like Jimmy Butler joining, or I've heard recently Kevin Durant maybe going to Houston. That could be an incredible closer that the Rockets could utilize and could skyrocket their team for sure. But yeah, this year, again, it's the OKC's year, so a lot has to go right for the Rockets and the other teams in the West. But I really don't see the Rockets having much success this year in the playoffs. Obviously, this regular season, huge W, a great building block, right, to move on from this year. But when it comes to championships, I doubt it.
And honestly, I can't disagree because like I feel like this team was just built for the regular season. Come playoff times, I think they're gonna get exposed. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're such a young team. And as you mentioned, they don't have a real closer or they don't have a legit clear cut closer. Like there's a lot of um like is this guy gonna close or is this guy gonna close?
Exactly.
Or like Jalen Green is probably the best player on the team, but like having not been to the playoffs yet, um you don't know if they can handle the spotlight. So oh, that would be to be determined. Um, Speaking of which, like definitely depending on playoff matchup, I honestly wouldn't even be shocked if they were like a first round upset out. But we'll see. I mean, like I'm not necessarily depends on who they play, whether or not I'll root for them or the other team. But like, yeah, I think Rockets are definitely built for the regular season this year. Maybe next year, after a year under their belt, they'll be more well built for the playoffs.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to, bring in the negative vibes too much, but that's what everybody's like thinking at the moment. Like everybody who's rooting for a Western team is kind of hoping they face the Rockets because of the lack of experience, because they don't really have a closer. Um, we don't really even know like their best player. You said Jalen Green. I was kind of thinking Alfred Şengün might be the best. Amin Thompson has showed that he could be a star. So sometimes it seems like maybe he's the best player, but there's no like definitive best player. There's no definitive number one guy. There's no definitive closer, which is definitely needed for sure. Um, but maybe they'll shock us all and prove us all wrong. I would love to be proven wrong, but based off of like past history, seeing how younger teams evolve, seeing what happened to the Thunder last year. The Thunder was a play-in team. Then last year was the youngest first seed ever, and they got bounced in the second round because of the lack of experience. Um, so now they're coming back and they're looking very scary. So that this, the Rockets have a very similar trajectory at the moment. So even though the Rocket fans out there might be upset on our takes at the moment because we don't believe that they will be, uh, you know, a scary team in the playoffs. At the bottom line, they're still gonna be great and most likely improve even more for next season and probably make a finals push next season. But this season, I doubt it.
Do that. But honestly, I think that is a good amount of talk on the Rockets. And so we can go to the next team on our W list. That being the Clippers, who are now on a 5 game win streak. Um, Currently sitting at the seventh seed in the Western Conference. And to say the least, this team has been kind of on the roll lately. They beat the Cavs earlier this week, who we'll talk about later. They beat the Grizzlies tonight, and kind of forgot some of the other teams they beat. But nonetheless, the Clippers have been playing some good basketball lately, and I guess increasing their chances of making the playoffs, to say the least.
Yeah, you can never really count out the Clippers, especially with Ty Lue being their coach. He always finds a way to get random guys to play well for the Clippers. I think lately Bogdanovich has been doing kind of well, or at least had a few good games. I think Zubac had like a 2020 game this week. I could be wrong, but he's been having like a very underrated
You're right.
season. I'm right.
I think so. I think it might have been the game against the Cavs.
Maybe, yeah. Ever since James Harden joined the team, like I feel like Zubac has just really improved a lot. Uh, Offensively, defensively, he's solid. As we all know, he's a rebounding machine as well. If only the Lakers kept him, that would have been so cool. But
Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
like if healthy, this is a scary lineup with Kawhi, James Harden, Norman Powell, Zubas. Like this sounds like a list of random guys, but together they could possibly upset a team, in the playoffs if they make it. Of course, so they're still in playing contention and all that, but yeah, this one's the Clippers are sneaky. It's a sneaky team to look out for sure.
Definitely. And yeah, man, the fact that Magic really gave up Zubats for Mike Muscala, man. Like, come on, man. We could
Who?
have at least kept him as like a we could have at least kept him as like a trade asset in getting AD, and then potentially we could have kept like Josh Hart or something. But yeah, that was disappointing. Nonetheless, yeah, unfortunately, give credit where it's due. Clippers have been playing good lately. I will say this though. I would love to play them in the first round.
Ooh,
Because
really? I'd be actually a little nervous to be honest. I know
I
we
mean
have
like
Luca, but like the Tyloo's an incredible coach. He's gonna find a way to get under Luca's skin.
yeah, I will say this. If it was 2 years ago or more, I wouldn't be confident in this matchup. But the last 2 years, we kind of changed the trend a little bit against the Clippers, actually beating them a little bit more. So hopefully that momentum can continue. And imagine how nice that would be if we beat them in the playoff series, man.
Yeah,
Um,
it'd be
that would be
awful if
fun.
we lose. Like that'd be the worst thing
Oh
ever.
yeah, it
But
it will be awful for sure. I would say this. Um, they better pray that LeBron is not back at full strength, because if he is, good luck.
yeah,
Yeah,
I did just remember. Luca actually plays like insane against the Clippers. I think he averages like 35 points a game or something like that against the
yeah,
Clippers. So
something
yeah,
like that.
now
I
thinking about
think
it,
that
we might have it in the bag.
yeah, we should. I mean, like Luca, I think that um against the Clippers and the Suns, he both averages over 30. So it's and it's great seeing him have success against those two teams, knowing that we're not fans of those two teams. So yeah, I think shall be good, but time will tell. Anyways, shall we move on to the next team on the W list, or is there anything more you'd like to talk about the Clippers?
About the Clippers, no, I was happy to see Luca torch the Suns earlier this week in the trash talking, but
Yeah,
uh, uh, we
that
don't
was
really
great.
have to talk about that. We can move on.
Yeah, for sure. And so the next team on our W list is the Trailblazers. They are currently on a 4-game win streak, and currently also only 2 games back of the Suns and the Mavs for the final play-in spot in the Western Conference. So obviously the Blazers have had quite a roller coaster of a season of inconsistency. They've had some stretches where they looked really bad, And then they have some stretches that go on crazy win streaks and look really good. As of late, they've been looking more like those very gritty, pesky young Blazers that we like to see have some success. So, me personally, I would love if they snag the final playing spot, to be frank, because like Mavs at this point, such undermanned. Every single time they actually win a game, I'm shocked because like with that depleted roster, I expect them to pretty much lose every game. And then the Suns, like, they even if they do make the play in, they're not gonna make the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna lose to either the first or second game in the play-in tournament. Um, I would, I was going to say that for Suns and Mavs, maybe they'd be best off just not making the play-in altogether. Not for the Suns though, because they don't have their draft pick. So they're kind of screwed regardless. But for the Mavs though, I hold by that they're probably better just not making it and get a higher draft pick. So yeah, maybe Blazers, they keep up their good momentum. Possibly they can sneak into the play-in. I don't know about playoffs, but play-in's a possibility for sure.
And that would be a great goal for them. A young team just having some postseason experience, whether it's just a single playing game, two playing games, maybe even making the playoffs somehow. It would be a great experience. They're not going to win the championship. That's definitely not going to happen. But, having some experience in the play will be nice moving forward. We'll build the team's confidence for sure, especially for those young guys over there. So yeah, it would be cool to see. I'm sure the Mavs would want to see that happen too, to better their draft odds. But yeah, I think this is a good move. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they want
Yeah,
a better draft
obviously.
pick as well. But to me, I think this is the right move to try to go for the play-in.
I agree because like similar to when we were talking about the Rockets, for these young teams, any type of experience in postseason, play-in, or somewhat meaningful scenarios will help the team going forward. So I agree, like just try their best to make it to the play-in or playoffs. Maybe the future next year or year after, they'll be better set up for success. So yeah, definitely. If the Blazers can keep it up, they have a good chance to get in play.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But shall we? Oh yeah. But shall we go on to the next team on the list, or anything else about the Blazers?
No, we could go to the next team, which is the Pacers. And I mainly wanted to talk about the Pacers because of the amount of clutch wins they've been getting as of late. Last week we talked about the Tyrese Halliburton game winner, where after this crazy football play to inbound the ball, Tyrese Halliburton was able to get an and 1-3 with Giannis fouling him and making the game winning free throw after that. That was cool. That was, it's definitely one of my favorite game winners of the year. You preferred the Mikal Bridges, but, they're both great. Um, but yeah, that was fun. That was cool to see. So it was. I thought it was even crazier how like days later, in an overtime game against the Timberwolves, Obi Toppin hit a similar looking three. It was from the corner. He was kind of slanted. I don't know if you know the Peter Griffin basketball shooting meme, but that's what he looked
Oh
like.
yeah,
That's exactly
that
what he
meme is
looked
so
like.
funny.
Yeah, that's what Tyrese Halliburton looked like against the Bucks. That's what Obi Toppin looked like. I believe it was against the Wolves, the Timberwolves, in overtime. And yeah, that was for the win. So that was a big shot there. And then days later, this wasn't as exciting, but Benedict Mathurin had a great game against the Nets. He had 28 points, 16 rebounds, and hit some clutch free throws to send the game to overtime, where they ended up winning handily thanks to all the free throw shooting. Practice your free throws, kids. They win games for sure. But yeah, which one of these three was your favorite game winner? I'm guessing it's not the free throws, but did you like the Obi Toppin more than the Tyrese Halliburton game winner?
I feel like I would have to go with Tyrese because it was a 4 point play. And due to the fact that obviously Tyrese is, I mean, maybe this season you won't necessarily call him a superstar, maybe more of like a star, but all-star, former all-star player. I think this gives it like more of a um I guess to say it, like the 4 point play is what made that one go over the top for me. Because quite honestly, like Obi Toppin was also really cool due to the fact it's not really a guy you would expect taking the last shot. And he did that and drained it. Um so both were really impressive. Definitely both of them easily clearing the free throws. But yeah, honestly, Pacers have been having, as you mentioned, one hell of a week with clutch wins and dramatic fashion. So very worthy of being on the W list for sure. And very possibly setting up a rematch of last year's first round matchup against the Bucks again. And if the standings ended today, this time the Pacers would have the home court advantage, which last year the Bucks had the home court advantage. Granted, Giannis was hurt after game one, but yeah, honestly, if they did have another rematch, knowing that the teams do not like each other, that would be fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, I think last year I predicted the Bucks were gonna beat the Pacers. Obviously, I was wrong, but this year though, I think the Pacers are the better team against the Bucks. I think they just have a better identity at the moment. This is essentially the same team that went to the playoffs last year. There really wasn't any big major changes. I'm liking how they're playing right now. Especially winning these clutch games is helping them basically practice for the playoffs when it's more intense, when the games are a little closer. So, them having this practice is gonna definitely benefit them for the playoffs.
Definitely. And yeah, honestly, I would agree that looking at the two teams today, I would pick the Pacers to win that matchup also. Haha. It would be funny if we were somehow proven wrong again though and the Bucks found a way to win this year.
I
I mean,
would
I wouldn't
probably
mind. I
need to
like the
quit.
Bucks. I mean, like I like the Bucks, so I wouldn't necessarily mind seeing that happen,
Same.
but like it's like damn, why do these teams keep on like finding a way to disappoint or like prove us wrong like that? I guess we'll see what happens, but yeah, I feel like there is a chance that the Pacers would take the frosty on the cake again if they played against the Bucks in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, but I guess we have to wait and find out.
Yeah. And so I think we are good to move on to the next um I guess next thing on the W list, shall we?
Yeah. So next up, we've got LeBron Jr. Not LeBron, but Bronny James scored a career high 17 points, 5 assists, 70% from the field. He is the youngest Laker since Magic Johnson to have this stat line. Very cherry picked stat line, but still, good company. Good company. That's cool. He also added 3 rebounds. He played so well. He got Stephen A. Smith changing his ways. Stephen A. Smith was recently saying that he was wrong about Bronny. And after watching the games, watching the highlights, you could already see the flashes of, I wouldn't say greatness. Like, he's not gonna play like LeBron moving forward, but you could see, like, yeah, he will be a decent NBA player moving forward. He still needs time. I doubt he's gonna be scoring 17 points every game from now on. But he showed flashes of, like, his driving game, right? His kick out game. He just recently surpassed Ben Simmons in career threes with 6. um, yeah, he's looking like an actual NBA player, at least for this game. But I will say, like, in the G League, he's been killing it there as well. Everybody that's been saying that, he's, what do they say? What's the word? A nepo baby, that he shouldn't be in the NBA. They're wrong. Like, this guy is still very young. About a year or two ago, he had his heart issue, so he lost a lot of time in regards to training and improving his game. But now that he is training with the Lakers, actually playing for the G League, getting some touches against the Bucks, which they ended up losing, but the entire starting lineup wasn't playing that game, so that's kind of why they lost, and why Bronny had a lot of minutes, a lot of touches. But giving him these reps is what's gonna help him moving forward, and it's gonna show the world that he's not just a nepo baby. He's actually, like, a good basketball player when given the minutes. So I'm guessing, since you're a Lakers fan as well, that you're happy to see this.
Yeah, I was definitely happy to see Bronny have an opportunity to put up some numbers. Granted, obviously we got our ass whooped in that game without our entire starting lineup, but that was pretty much like a giveaway game, honestly. Like, second night of a back-to-back, got a big win against the Nuggets on Wednesday. JJ decided these guys are not 100%, kind of still dealing with past injuries, so we'll just give them the night off and prepare them for other games upcoming. And so at that point, we kind of figured that they were not going to win that game. We were hoping maybe it'd be a little bit closer. It wasn't, but at the end of the day, at least taking positive out of negative, we were able to see Bronny have a chance and develop a little bit. Speaking of which, not sure if you saw, there was that one play that he put Giannis on skates, but unfortunately he didn't finish the play though. I think he got blocked or something. But nonetheless, it was a cool moment while it lasted. But man, can you imagine if he finished that play? That would have definitely went viral for sure. Um, yeah, honestly, it was definitely really nice to watch. Hopefully give him more opportunity. He can have more similar performances. But yeah, it was cool to see one positive in a overall negative Lakers game performance. But nonetheless, as mentioned, expected they weren't going to win due to the entire starting lineup being out. So shout out Bronny for easily having his best game of his very young rookie season.
Yeah, shout out to Bronny. And then shout out to the last winner in the W list, Sandro Mamukelashvili. Who? This guy plays for the Spurs. You call him Mamu. A lot of people are calling him Mamu, not Memo, Mamu. And he just recently had a great game with the Spurs, beating the Knicks, where he scored 34 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 of 14 from the field, 7 for 7 from 3 in under 20 minutes. This is a record, ladies and gentlemen. This is the most points scored in less than 20 minutes of action. And this was like a awesome game for him. Like everybody was so hyped for Mamu, to the point where Flavor Flav of all people was there watching the game and was so excited for Mamu. Was even like, with him during Mamu's what is it called, like post game interview. So some random guy from the Spurs having a crazy stat line like this. It's fun to see. It's fun to see, guys like this being celebrated. So shout out to Mamu.
Do that. And yeah, that's a pretty cool, impressive accomplishment. The most number of points in less than 20 minutes or whatever it was. Very impressive to say the least for a guy that most people probably never even heard of. I mean, I never heard of him. So shout out to him for proving everyone. I mean, maybe not necessarily proving anyone wrong because maybe people didn't really know who he was, but like showing himself out so that people now know his name. I think that's a good way to say it. Um, and yeah, also kind of cool. His nickname is Mamu because it's a pretty close to Manu, Spurs legend. Um, Maybe I don't know about like maybe similar-ish play style. I didn't really get to see his highlights, but
Nah, he's like a stretch big.
yeah. So I think different, but um maybe that performance was a little bit Manu-esque in
Maybe,
terms
yeah.
of putting up big numbers, but not the same play style. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, Spurs were able to get a pretty big win that game against the Knicks, who have been struggling to say the least ever since Jalen Brunson went down. Um, but not about the Knicks, it's about Mamu having a breakout game. And yeah, crazy high efficiency too, as you mentioned.
Yup.
13 for 14 overall, 7 for 7 from three. Crazy, godly numbers right there.
Only one miss.
Yeah, only one miss. Hopefully he um keeps up the good work and there will be nothing but a bright future to come for Mamu's NBA future career.
Yeah. So that is the W list. Now we'll move on to the L list. And I don't know if this is the first time we've ever done this. It might be, but the Cavs are in the L list this week. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah, so after the Cavs went on their 15 game win streak or whatever it was, they are now on a 4 game losing streak. And for the most part, these were losses against not the greatest bunch of teams. So the winning streak first ended when they lost against the Magic at home in a close one. We've talked about the Magic before, how they are a quite inconsistent team this season. They started the year really good, but once Franz and Paolo went down, they just were never able to fully recover, and so they've been really inconsistent where they will sometimes play great against good teams, and then sometimes they play horrible against the bad teams. And then so I guess that was like a not horrible loss, but not a good loss either. And then the Clippers, they are not necessarily the same team as we've seen before that were really um, known as the championship contenders. But nonetheless, they have been playing better lately, so I guess that one wasn't a horrible loss either. But the last two losses were pretty unacceptable, if you ask me. Starting with the Kings, I believe that was against the Kings who was out DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, and they somehow lost against that team. So that was not a good performance whatsoever. And then tonight, they lost against the Suns, but not only did they lose against them, I think they got destroyed against them. Well, they lost by 11 at the end, so it didn't look horrible, but like they were down by like over 20 for a good amount. So not good knowing that the Suns have been pretty much struggling of their own lately. I mean, they have won 3 in a row, but aside from that, they haven't been doing very good. So, yeah, to say the least, obviously, we all know many people, including us, were not necessarily super confident in the Cavs making a deep playoff run, but it's looking like their collapse is starting early, about like 1 month before the season ends in March. And so now the question is, will they be able to recover? Memo, would you like to weigh in? Like, do you think the Cavs will be able to act fast, recover, and go back to their winning ways, or do you think that they're done?
That's a little tricky because, like, I don't think this would be a crazy long losing streak. Like, not at all. I think they could win a few games, but we are getting to the point of the season. At least we're slowly getting there, where these top teams are not gonna care about winning as much. They're just gonna save their energy for the playoffs. So I could see them losing more towards, especially towards the end, like the very end of the season. But the 4 game losing streak is very surprising. That they haven't done this all season. I think the longest losing streak they've had this season was 2. So this is very different for this iteration of the Cavs team. I do think they're still gonna be fine in the playoffs, as in I think they're gonna make the Eastern Conference Finals. I've never said that the Cavs are for sure going to make the finals, but they're one of my favorites, and they're still one of my favorites to make the finals. It's them and the Celtics, so I'm not worried at the moment. I think they're still favorites to go to the finals, but it is a little weird seeing them have a 4 game losing streak.
Yeah. And thanks to their cushion that they were able to build to due to the win streaks they had earlier in the season, they still have a 5 game lead over the Celtics for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. But they need to act fast and start winning soon, or else the cushion is gonna get less and less comfortable. So hopefully they can end this losing streak and go back to their winning ways for the sake of preventing the Celtics from another potential cupcake run to the finals.
Yeah, so hopefully they get it together. They better get it together, because I don't want to see those Celtics in the finals. But
I'm right.
okay, we can move on to the final loser. Not a lot of losers this week, so that's good. But we do have the Heat once again as a loser for this week. And would you like to once again explain why?
Yeah, so last week we mentioned the Heat who were on at the time a 5 or a 6 game losing streak. Now that losing streak has stretched out all the way to 10 games. Not good. So now doing so, the Heat have also dropped to the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference. They have gotten surpassed by the Bulls in the standings by 1 game behind the Bulls now. But on the bright side, despite not having very many bright things, Andrew Wiggins has been playing pretty good and one of the few bright spots for a struggling Heat team. Today he scored 20 points in 7 minutes, ending with 30 points overall, and he was also scored the most points was in the first 10 games for the Heat since LeBron, which is crazy good company there for sure. Obviously in losing efforts, but nonetheless, nothing of fault by Wiggins. So one of the few bright spots for a not so good Heat team.
Yeah, well, very disappointing for this team. Um, I'm very curious what they're gonna do from here. Like, what are they gonna do in the off season to turn the ship around? Are they gonna build off of surrounding the team around Tyler Hero? Are they gonna get someone else better than Tyler Hero somehow, some way? I don't know, There's a lot of question marks for this team. So yeah, it's definitely just a very disappointing season for them, and honestly, just hard to watch their games as of late. Like this team is depressing.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously they had a lot they gone through. There's like the Jimmy drama and all that, but ever since it hasn't really been any better. Matter of fact, it's been worse. So hopefully after an off season they can get better next year. But I hate to say this season, the Heat are unfortunately not really gonna go anywhere.
Right. So the Heat are our final loser for this week. Now we're gonna talk about a few news stories before we end things off. We're gonna start with some injury reports, starting with Stephen Curry. He recently got injured in a game against the Raptors, where I don't know if you saw this video. I'm sure we've all seen it, but he fell down really hard. It looks like he landed on his back or tailbone area, probably the tailbone area, because he ended up uh, being out with a pelvic uh, contusion, I believe it's was called. Um, I don't think he's gonna be out for long. I heard he wanted to get back into the game against the Raptors, but they didn't let him. So I guess that's kind of a sign that he'll probably recover soon. But I felt like we just had to mention this because maybe Curry will be out for a significant amount of time. Maybe they're gonna rest him and save him for the playoffs. So this is just something that we should keep in mind. And yeah, also just seeing the video of him falling, it looks serious. Like it was a hard fall. It was loud too. So uh, that's essentially why I thought it'd be a good idea to mention this in this episode.
Yeah, so to start, I definitely saw the play and man, it looked painful to say the least. Like Steph, you could clearly tell he was in pain when he fell. You're able to hear it, and it didn't look like a pretty sight. Fortunately, it didn't look like it was too crazy major of an injury, so probably he won't miss too much time. I would guess maybe like one, maybe 2 games max, and then he should be back. And so in that case, like I think the Warriors would be fine. Um, they've still been on a roll. Obviously, they lost against the Nuggets earlier this week, shockingly, who were without Jokic and Murray that game. But then nonetheless, yeah, the Warriors definitely are sometimes a little bit confusing as a team. I mean, like they lost against the Nuggets without Jokic and Murray, and then the next game, second half of the back to back, they beat the Bucks without Steph. So yeah, the Warriors though, like I'm sure they'll be fine, and I'm sure Steph will be fine too. And yeah, that was a scary sight to see, but nonetheless, um, Steph shall be good, and thankful that it's nothing major.
Yeah, uh, that's for sure. The next player that's gonna be out, he's gonna be out for the rest of the season, and that is Paul George, who this season he's been very injury riddled. I think that's a big part on why the 76ers season was so disappointing, and why he was so disappointing this year as well, is because of the amount of injuries that he was dealing with this season. But yeah, he will be missing the rest of the season after receiving several injections to his left knee and adductor. So, you know, Podcast P stopped the podcast game to help the 76ers chances to making the playoffs, just to be out for the rest of the season anyway. So I guess he's going to be back to making podcasts real soon. But
Probably.
yeah, so it sucks that he has to go through all of this, right, with all these injections, with all these injuries. But it's hard not to like, I don't know what's the right word, but it was such a disappointing season. They paid so much money for this guy just for him to play very poorly or being out due to injury, which again isn't his fault, but still, like this was definitely his worst season in a very long time. So to see it end like this, I'm sure 76ers fans are peeved off.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's been a crazy season to say the least for Paul George, Joel Embiid, Jared McCain, Sixers in general. And I'm afraid, like, obviously, when he said that he was pausing the podcast to focus on basketball, it was just too late at that point. The Sixers had already dug themselves in too big of a hole. He should have done that in the beginning of the season, not in the middle of the season. Nonetheless, yeah, I think that the Sixers' decision to do that probably is, I would say in the long run, probably going to be good for him, especially knowing it's a lost season. They're not going to go anywhere this year. Prepare him for next season and the long run. Now, I don't know if there's going to be like any side effects to doing the injections. I assume that they only do it if they think it's safe. So hopefully that will be able to help him sustain going forward. Because as we know, throughout the recent years, Paul George has been getting injured quite a bit. And so has Joel Embiid, obviously. But relating to Paul George, yeah, hopefully he'll be able to be good to go next season.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of Sixers fans are hoping that would be the case. But we'll see. I guess we'll see. Last story before we end things. The Celtics were just recently sold. The Celtics was sold for $6.1 billion, billion with a B, and they were sold to
Crazy.
Bill Chisholm, I believe is how you say it. I'm really not sure. And he
Is
is
I think.
maybe and he is the managing director and co-founder of the California-based private equity firm Symphony Technology Group. And this deal is not set in stone, but if it is, the deal will set a record for the most a North American professional sports franchise has ever been sold, surpassing the 6.05 billion for the NFL's Washington Commanders when Josh Harris bought the team in 2023. And in that same year, Matt Ishbia bought the Phoenix Suns for $4 billion, the most an NBA team has ever been sold at the time. And this is all according to James Herbert from the CBS Sports. And yeah, it's not very crazy news, but it's news that we should bring up because this is probably the most successful franchise in NBA history, being sold for a lot of money, a lot of dollars, which makes a lot of sense, obviously. Um, will this lead to any crazy changes for the organization? We'll see. We all know that Matt Ishbia, when he bought the Suns, he went insane. He was going. He ruined the finals bound team there in Phoenix and went out to get Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, and now they're fighting for a play-in spot at the moment when they were just recently fighting in the finals against Giannis and the Bucks. So maybe this is good news for us. Maybe Bill is insane as well, and it's gonna ruin the Celtics. Trade away Jason Tatum for a bag of potatoes. We'll see. But yeah, anything you want to mention about this deal, or is it something you even care about?
I mean, the fact that it's the Celtics, I could care less, honestly. But nonetheless, it is definitely worthy to be mentioned, as you say, because it is arguably the most accomplished team in the history of the league, and being sold for 6 billion is an insane number. So like, yeah, honestly, crazy turnaround. We'll see what happens if there's any like major changes in the organization. For our sake, hopefully, like Matt Ishbia, something crazy for the worse for the Celtics, but time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. But I guess we have to wait and see. There we go. That's the podcast. A solid hour. Solid hour. I think we did a great job. We covered a lot. We covered a good amount of stuff. So, pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back, Hoops. We did great here. Good work.
Yes, sir, we
Um,
did.
so yeah, we're done here. Make sure you guys, if you're on YouTube, like the video, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't. If you are on audio platforms, leave us a 5-star rating and review. Check out our socials, especially the Twitter and TikTok. I use those sometimes. Uh, yeah, anything you want to say before we head out?
Just want to mirror Mamo's words per usual. Thank you guys for the constant love and support to our channel. We cannot appreciate you guys enough, and we would not be where we are today without you guys. If you guys like our content, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow us on all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, you name it, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and definitely stay on the lookout as the season is winding down. Things will get more and more interesting, and we will come out with bangers, and you will not want to miss it. So make sure you stay tuned, and as always, look forward to our upcoming content.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because the playoffs are coming really soon. I don't know if you guys remember last year, but we brought in heaters to end off the season. We had some fun episodes, and our playoff coverage, I think was really good. I think we did a great job last year covering the playoffs. So look out for that because we do have heaters on the way for sure. But
Definitely.
I think that's it for us. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.